Good afternoon. I'm joined today by Lieutenant Colonel Richard Mazzone, Troop Chief Commander Major Dennis Shager. We also have representation from law enforcement, including the FBI. On a picture-perfect fall day here in upstate New York, Charlotte Sena's family and friends gathered for a weekend of friendship and food and enjoying one of the last few days of good weather. They came here to just have an ordinary time. The kids could have a chance to be in nature, have a chance to be kids. And they came to this beautiful scenic state park, Moreau State Park, literally 15 minutes from where Charlotte and her two sisters were raised. They rode bikes around the loop road we see. They camped, they cooked out, and they're here to make memories, the kind that last a lifetime. But instead, the day turned into every parent's nightmare. I just met with Charlotte's parents, David and Tricia, obviously distraught. And as a mother and as a grandmother, I cannot imagine the pain they're going through. They shared with me how joyful their little girl is. A fourth grader just recently elected to be a class officer for student council. And everybody thought of her as just a really nice girl, the kind that people wanted to be friends with, the kind that looked out for other children, the pride of every parent. So it's a very hard time for her family. I'll go through the circumstances of her disappearance, and we'll have representation from law enforcement talk about the search. Charlotte was camping with her family here in Moreau State Park. Last evening, she went out on a bike ride. It wasn't dark. It was right around dinner time, and did a couple of loops with close friends she considers her cousins. And then she decided, after going around Troop A, she said she just wanted to go around one more time by herself. Be that big girl, do it by herself. Literally 15 minutes later, she hadn't come back yet. And that's really when the nightmare begins. Her parents knew immediately something was up. They called her name. People started searching. People from other campgrounds joined. And 30 minutes later, at 6:47, Charlotte's mother, Tricia, called 911. The scene was chaotic. People leaving their food, leaving their tables, just everyone in search, calling the name Charlotte, Charlotte. By 7 p.m., the state police were on site. And for the last 18 hours, 18 plus hours, teams from the New York State Police, dogs, aviation, our bloodhounds are here. The sword operators, our special response teams are on site. New York State Park Police, forest rangers, underwater rescue teams, and drones. We brought in technology experts also to analyze other forms of communications in the park at that time. A command post has been established at the state park right behind us, and additional search teams were deployed this morning. Right now there's over 100 personnel deployed, 75 law enforcement on the ground, the 2 drones, an airboat, search team, 6 underwater rescue teams, another boat that has sonar. We also have the Schenectady Fire Office here assisting with the search, given that Charlotte is the niece of one of the members of the Schenectady Fire Department. We are leaving no stone, no branch, no table, no cabin unturned, untouched, unexamined in our search to find Charlotte. We'll keep the members of the public updated. I promised her parents we'll find her daughter. She's all of our daughters. Their family needs love. They need prayers. And if you know anything, if you've seen anything, you hear anything, please contact 911 to tell us what you know and what you may contribute to the search for this little girl. Hearts are broken here today in New York. Hopefully there'll be a reunion. Hopefully there'll be a family that has been traumatized but is reunited. That is our prayer and our hope at this time. With that, let me bring up Lieutenant Colonel Richard Mazzone to follow up on our continuing search for Charlotte.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. I am Lieutenant Colonel Richard Mazzone, Assistant Deputy Superintendent of the New York State Police Uniform Force. Shortly before 7 p.m. last night, State Police responded to Moreau State Park in the town of Moreau for a report of a missing 9-year-old female identified as Charlotte Sena of Greenfield, New York. Charlotte was last seen at approximately 6:15 p.m. riding her bike in Loop A of the park. At approximately 6:45 p.m., Charlotte's bike was located in Loop A, and at 6:47 p.m., Charlotte's mom, Tricia, called 911 to report the child missing. A command center was subsequently established at the Moreau State Park office, and search teams were deployed, which consisted of New York State Police uniformed troopers, State Police Special Operations Response Team, New York State Park Police, Forest Rangers, and our unmanned aerial systems, underwater recovery team, aviation, and canine, as well as several civilian volunteers. The missing child alert was issued last night, and search efforts continued throughout the night. In addition to our massive search efforts, our Bureau of Criminal Investigation has been conducting interviews with those in the park and around the region, as well as pursuing all investigative leads. Additional search teams were deployed this morning, and an Amber Alert was issued at 9:35 a.m. this morning. I want to thank our state police members, our park police and forest rangers, and all of our law enforcement and community partners for their commitment and efforts to find Charlotte. We continue to dedicate all resources that we can to find Charlotte and bring her home safely. Charlotte Sena is a 9-year-old white female with long blonde hair, is approximately 5 foot 1 inch in height, and weighs about 90 pounds. She was last seen wearing an orange tie-dye Pokemon shirt, dark blue pants, black Crocs, and a gray bike helmet. Members of the State Police Wilton BCI will be leading this investigation, and anyone with any information is asked to call the New York State Police at 518-477-9333 or call 911. Any updates will be posted to the State Police newsroom at nyspnews.com. Thank you. If there are any questions, I'll take them at this time. Well, following our exhaustive search of the park, we took that step of issuing the Amber Alert because we felt that after that exhaustive search, when we couldn't find her here, it was quite possible that an abduction had taken place.
Tyler McNeil with the Daily Gazette. I was just wondering, in terms of how much of the park has been covered so far. Where exactly? It's a relatively large park.
Well, certainly we started at the area that she was last seen, and over the course of the last 18 hours, we've conducted an exhaustive search of the park. We've been checking the waterways. As I've mentioned, we have our drones and aviation assets looking from above while our teams are on the ground. We had a bloodhound assigned to this area, several other canines, so I feel confident at this point. We've conducted a search of this park, and we're going to continue with that while we also search every other avenue.
Any idea she might be outside the park?
Certainly that possibility exists, yes.
Emma Quinchen, CBS 6. Might be a silly question, but are there any security cameras in the parking lots or anywhere around the park?
Well, I really don't want to get into the cameras and the technological aspects of our investigation and our search at this time, but I can assure you, as the governor mentioned, that we are doing everything we can to reunite Charlotte with her family.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Good job.